And welcome. My name is Casey, and this is just our Sunday night team call where we plug in, get some inspiration, and then some training. And so I know a lot of people are, in the middle of a 90-day game plan. We've had events going on. People are going to events. I know that there was just an awesome Super Saturday yesterday that a lot of you guys were at, and then the weekend prior to that, a lot of you guys were in the ICU too in Newark, New Jersey, where you guys got to see Rhonda. So I don't want to waste any more time since we have her, and then Joe's going to do some training after Rhonda just inspires us all. But Rhonda, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, there you go. I think you go ahead and unmute. There you go. So welcome to our call.
Thank you, darling. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Rhonda or haven't been blessed enough to see her present, I know I got message after message when you were off the stage and after you presented in New Jersey. She's been with Isagenix for a long time, right, since the company was getting going. But I'd rather you share your story. But this is what I can say. I've watched Rhonda since I started. I used to jump on her calls, in the beginning, and she's just become such a
You guys going?
We're excited to have you.
Well, thank you, darling. Thank you so much.
Rhonda, share your story with us. I mean, I could just go on and on about how kind and loving and just the soul that you are of lighting up the world, but share your story with us. How'd you get into Isagenix?
Awesome. Love to. Hey, you guys, I just want to say hi to everyone, and you are so blessed to be on Casey's team. I am so blown away by you, Casey, and everything that you and this team is doing. And it's just been amazing watching you. And congratulations to you and your entire team for all of your success. And hello, I saw there was someone from Portage, Michigan. I grew up in Michigan. So I moved out of there as soon as I could because I had this travel soul in me. But my background is I came to Isagenix in 2002. And I had spent my entire life looking for someone to rescue me. And I was, like I said, on the stage at ICU, I had the Cinderella complex, very, very low self-esteem, very low self-worth. I mean, I had some good jobs, don't get me wrong. It's just they were very unfulfilling. And I was really inside not, doing well. I didn't feel worthy of the things that I wanted. And I was introduced to Isagenix by my dear friend and the gentleman that I used to work for, Dr. John Gray. And he called me up one day and he shared his story with me, Casey. He was like, I lost 20 pounds and my brain's working better. And he's like, you got to check this company out. And he was so excited. And he said, if you love it, I'll show you how to make some retirement income. And I said, wow, okay, cool. I mean, it all sounded good, everything from how he was feeling and, just the opportunity to possibly be in the wellness industry. It was really calling me. And so I ordered the products, and I'll never forget, I don't know if any of you guys did this, but when I got the products delivered and I read the little book, at the time it was just a photocopy piece of paper. That's all. There was nothing else. But it talked about the cleanse, Casey, and it was like, you're going to go 2 days and you're just going to drink this drink. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, no, thank you. I put the box in the cupboard and I'm like, there's no way I could do that. But then I went to a workshop that John Gray taught, and there was all these people in there that had done it, and they were all sharing how easy it was and how great they felt and how much better they felt. And so I was motivated to do it, and I went home and did it. And I was blown away. I was within day 4, that's the magic moment. I felt so alive and so much better. And I just, everything was improved. It's like someone turned the light switch on. You guys all know what I'm talking about because you're here. So that was the beginning of my journey, Casey. And then I thought, well, I've got to share this in the world. And I went to an event and I met Jim and Kathy Coover, John Anderson, and I fell in love. I fell in love. I was like, these people are real. Their heart and passion, their vision, their mission, everything felt right. It was just a go. And so that was the beginning of my journey.
And so beginning that way, and then you were just the number 16 income earner and all of Isagenix, right? I saw that on the ISA FYI recognition, and for people who see you, and you've been in for since 2002, and you see the company growing, they're on the outside looking at where your life is. Can you just kind of share for maybe people who are getting started or don't really know what they're doing yet, or maybe not crystal clear on their why yet, and just maybe how yours has evolved, but just maybe just some of the steps that it's been like for you going through building and where you are now. I mean, number 16 in a, a $5 billion company, that's pretty epic.
I couldn't have ever really believed it myself. So here's the journey that I went on. So like I said, I fell in love with the products. Then I went to an event. I fell in love with the Jim and Kathy, John Anderson, and their vision and their mission. And that was the beginning. And it took me over a year it took me 2 years before I wrote my list. And I shared that on stage at Isagenix University because I had such low self-esteem that to be able to talk to people, I was petrified. I love people. I can talk to anyone. I'm an easygoing person and I love people, but I was really afraid of rejection. And so, but what I did is I kept going to these events because I was learning and I love to learn. And so I would go to Isagenix University like 4 or 5 times a year because I live in California. So I would just drive over to Phoenix and we'd put like 6 or 7 or 8 people and we'd all go together and we'd sleep on the floor. And, I didn't have any money. Sorry, my computer was falling there. I didn't have any money, but I was excited about this. And so it took me 2 years, you guys, really, before I had the courage to write that list. And then, in those 2 years, I was talking to people about Isagenix, but only when it was super comfortable. But I was growing myself. I was reading every book I could read on network marketing. I was reading every book I could read on sales. I was reading every book I could read on, self-esteem and self-worth. And I was just doing the work, and working on my mindset. And 2 years in, I wrote my list. It took me another year before I called it. And I started calling people. And it took me about 4 years after that to hit six figures. And in that time, I was just building my self-esteem, my self-work, my mindset, my skill set. I had to learn how to be disciplined. Okay, that's one of the things that was one of my biggest challenges. Maybe some of you guys are really great at that, but I'd never worked for myself before. So I had to have a schedule. And, there's only a few things that we have to do in this business. Very, very few. But we got to do those things every single day. And I hired a coach about my 3rd year into it. And he taught me that. He's like, daily consistent action equals momentum, and that equals time and financial freedom. So write that down, you guys. Daily consistent action equals momentum, which equals time and financial freedom. And what do you have to do in those daily consistent actions? You have to meet new people and you have to share the gift of Isagenix, right? You have to share your story. You have to ask these people questions and get to know them, and then share some tools with them, and then learn how to follow up. And so I was learning how to do all of that, and building my belief in myself. And it was about, I think it was probably about 4 or 5 years in. I was at 4 or 5 cycles about 4 years in, Casey. And we didn't have the bonuses you guys all have now. Okay. We made $10 PIBs. That was it. There was no double PIBs. There was no rank advancement bonuses. There was no bonus pools. There was none of that, okay? There was $10 PIBs. So I was cycling about 4 or 5 times a week. And my mentor, really, one of the greatest things that I had in my life was a mentor that just kept believing in me, kept telling me I could do it, because I really didn't think I could. But I every time I went to an event, Casey, I got another level of belief, another level of belief, another level of belief. And that's why we all tell you that if you want to make it in this business, you have to go to events. It's non-negotiable. If you want a hobby and you want to make a little bit of extra money, and that's totally fine if that's what you want. We want what you want. Like, I don't have an agenda for any of you other than your own dreams. And if right now your own dream is an extra $500 a month so you can not fight with your husband anymore, or you could pay something for your children, or you could do something, then that's a beautiful dream, and we want to help you have that. But if you want to make money in Isagenix, whatever amount of money that is, you're going to have to invest some time into these events, because the people go to the events are the people that make it. Right, Casey?
100%, 100%. 4 or 5 cycles, so you said it takes us, it took you 4 years to do,
Yeah.
maybe you were doing about 4 or 5 cycles. And I know, a lot, and it's because, people come in and social media now and people are watching and people going super fast. What do you feel like, I mean, obviously going to events and staying plugged in and having the mentor, but, were you excited about those 4 or 5 cycles? Like what kind of was okay, still working while you were doing it? When did you kind of then say, okay, like I'm going to go more full time in Isagenix, or what was kind of?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. So my goal, I wanted to make $10,000 a month so that I could never have to work so I could do this full time. I could fire my boss. So that was my money. That was the amount I had to hit. And I was excited about those 4 or 5 cycles, but I have to be honest with you guys. I was also really having a hard time with how long it was taking me, because every time I went to an event, it seemed like everybody was doing it so fast. And, everybody doesn't do it fast. There's a small handful of people that do it fast. And those are the people that'll be on stage. And that's great. They deserve to be on stage. They've built something very quick and that's awesome. Okay. But I'm the story that didn't do it fast. And I love my story for that reason, because I was cycling 4 or 5 times and I was frustrated. I was really frustrated. And, I remember, I'll never forget this day. It was the most pivotal moment in my entire career in Isagenix. And I want to share it with you guys, because I was at an event 4 or 5 years into it, 4 or 5 cycles a week, still struggling, still not seeing the growth that I saw other people having. And I was sitting at this event and this teacher was teaching about connecting and going out and talking to people and setting your schedule and making sure you're following up and all the stuff we need to learn. And it just hit me. And it hit me like a brick wall, because I realized in that moment, all I had to do was decide. All I had to do was to believe. All I had to do was to stop paying attention to what wasn't working and how long it was taking or whatever. And I had to get in the frequency. I had to get in the mindset. I had to get into the daily repetitive thought pattern of one thing. And that is, I'm doing this. I am doing this. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care who goes faster than me. I don't care, how hard it is. I am freaking doing this. And when I took that stance, Casey, that's the moment for me. That's the moment that it happened. It was like, up until that point, I had allowed my mindset to be all over the place. I had allowed myself to focus on what was hard. I had allowed myself to focus on how long it was taking and that it wasn't happening or whatever. And so, yes, I was excited about those 4 or 5 cycles, but I was frustrated. And I was paying way more attention to the frustration than the vision, right? Than the outcome. And I had healed my body from what I was told was an incurable disease before Isagenix. This has nothing to do with Isagenix. And I did that through a book called Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And Louise Hay teaches about mindset, basically. And because I had that, Casey, in my back pocket, that experience, I knew better. I knew what my mindset would create. I knew that anything was possible, even curing an incurable disease, because I had done it. So I was sitting there in that training that day, and I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm doing this. That's it. Done story. Draw a line in the sand, cross over, no looking back, only going forward. And that's the moment it happened.
Oh, love it. I remember on a call, you had done a call once and I was on the Lenny Evans call, the daily call, and you were speaking, and you talked about a decision. You read something and it was like when that moment that you truly decide. And it's that moment where, mountains move and it just all these forces that you couldn't have predicted, all these synchronicities, circumstances. And I was just crying listening to you share that, because I was like, I had made the decision. And I remember you had just, I think, become Millionaire 77 shortly after I had got started. And I sent you a message. I said, my name's Casey. I'm on your team. I'm going to help you make your next million. I made, she's like, who's this fool? She's like, yeah, right on.
Go.
Getting it, but it's that decision, you guys. It's that decision. That's something that I heard you say early on when I had jumped into Isagenix, Rhonda, and I'm really, really grateful that you said that, because it doesn't matter if it gets hard, right? If you've made a decision, It doesn't matter if you're going through a slump, if you've made a decision. It doesn't matter if you're going slower than other people, if you've made the decision that you're doing it, because it's done. You're doing it.
Yeah. It's in healthy mind and body. Now we have healthy mind and body, and I'm doing it like for the third time. And oh my gosh, I just want to keep doing it because he shows us what we go through as we're making these changes in our lives, and the deception phase, and all of these different phases of change and growth. And I'm not going to tell you guys that after I made that decision, everything was rainbows. I mean, there was still a lot of struggle, and there was still a lot of stuff I had to learn and overcome. And there were a few years I went through some really tough times in my personal life, and my business slid backwards. And then, so Casey, so after I made that decision, I did get much more powerful. And a year later, I was making 6 figures. Okay. So I went 4 years, and then finally I made the decision in my mind, and I focused on that every single day, just like I did when I was healing my body. I focused on my body being healthy. I saw my body being healthy every single day, constantly. Okay. That was the only thing I would focus on. And so I started doing that with my business. And then a year later, I was at 6 figures, and it was great. And I was so excited, and I was safe, and I was free, and I got to fire my boss. And what did I do, you guys? I just upped the amount of people I was talking to. I got really dialed in on my schedule. I got much better at my follow-up, and I really focused on the outcome, which was $10,000 a month, and seeing these people joining me. And I started to operate every single day. When I opened my eyes as a person who was earning $10,000 a month. Do you understand? I woke up as that person long before I was that person. And I would say to myself, how does this person feel? Right? Right? How does the person who's making $10,000 a month, and she can, she's safe, and she gets to pay off all of her credit cards, and she doesn't have to work for anyone, and she can do her passion. How does that feel? Well, she feels amazing. And so I was her every day. And then that showed up. And so then that got there. And then I got stuck. I got stuck at that amount. And some of you might get stuck at 5 cycles, or some of you might get stuck at 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. I don't know. But there's going to be this place where each time where you're going to come up against kind of this comfort zone and this belief level. And that is when we get to really, really do the work again, right? We get to transform again. We get to grow again. We get to go back into the mindset again. And so I was stuck there, Casey, for 6 or 7 years at 4-star. And I said on stage at ICU, I said, number one, I was comfortable. I never had that kind of money before. So I was comfortable. So I took kind of my foot off the gas a little bit and was enjoying that. And then number 2, I was making it about me. And I needed to make it about the people who were not comfortable. I needed to make it about the women that were in the boat that I was in before I got there, and the men. And as soon as I started making it about them, then I started to get back into action. Then I felt that inspiration again, because I was comfortable, and I never made that kind of money myself. And so I had to adjust my self-worth. If I wanted to go beyond 100 or 200,000 a year, I had to adjust my self-worth. So I had to go back and keep doing that mindset work, Casey. And eventually I did. And then you guys all joined my team.
What, talking about mindset and personal development, we're always talking about it, everybody's talking about it, but really where would you classify it on, importance? Like, how important is it for somebody to develop their mindset and to do personal development and dive into growth to be successful in this business?
Well, I think that the way that I would answer that is your outer world is always going to be a reflection of your inner world. And so if you're looking at the results that you currently have, and though that's what you want, and that's great. Okay. Then you're good. If you don't have the results that you want, then it's an inside job, period. Your business will grow to the extent that you grow, period. So, I'll give you an example. If someone has an unconscious beliefs around what they're worth, and they go out and let's say they do every single thing exactly like you did, Casey. They follow everything you did. They're not going to even get the same results. I mean, we're all different, right? But if you want to improve your results, that mindset work is crucial. You know, that's why Lynn Hagedorn says work 80% on yourself, 20% on your business, which kind of freaks me out when she says that, right? Because it's like, no, work on your business. It's not that you're not working on your business. You have to do action every day, exposing Isagenix to new people every day. You have to do that. Okay. So if you're not doing that yet, then you've got to learn those skills to do that. Okay. And then as you get those skills down, and if you're taking those actions and they're not producing the results that you want, and I'm not saying I sign up everyone, I can talk to 20 people and get 20 no's still today. Right. But it's an inside job. And so I work on myself every single day to this day. Every single day. I probably spend at least 2 hours on personal growth a day.
And, you talked about too, the skill set, right? The skill set. I remember too, when you were, I think you were 4-star, and you then put out the challenge, the Eric Worre challenge, that you were going to enroll 20 people in 30 days and that would change your business. And I think within a year, you then maxed out your business center. Talk about that commitment and that insane laser focus when you made that commitment.
Okay. So that's exactly what happened. So I was stuck at 4-star for like 6 or 7 years, whatever, a long time. And it even slid backwards to like, sometimes I was being paid 2-star. So, and of course, during that time, I never missed an event, you guys. I never missed a celebration, a New Year's kickoff, New Year's kickoff used to be called Top Achievers, but I never missed any of those. So, which is crucial to keeping me and you plugged in to the vision, the growth, the mission, the energy. And so I never missed an event. And I went to that event, and it was 2013. I went to that event. Kathy had Eric Worre come to Isagenix Celebration in 2013, and he taught a leadership training. It was the first time I ever heard him, first time Kathy ever had him come into our company. And he taught this 5-hour, 6-hour day about this system that he has that will give you the biggest, most massive breakthrough and explosion in your business you've ever had. And it's called 20 and 30. And he says, if you'll enroll 20 people in 30 days, you'll have a massive breakthrough in your business. Your business will explode to the next level, bigger than ever. And I was like, wow, and I was scared because I wasn't enrolling. I was enrolling like 5 people a month. That was like kind of normal for me. And so 20 and 30, I was like, no way, but he made it so believable, Casey. And he gave so many examples, and he showed me exactly how to do it. If you guys go to YouTube or Google, or if you Google Eric Worre 20 and 30, now he has a whole kit. You can buy it, but he laid it out like piece by piece, step by step, what to do and why it works and how it works and how to do it and how many people you need to talk to have it happen. And by the end of the day, I was just like, you know what, this is it. This is what I have to do. I mean, I didn't want to. I was scheduled to go to Thailand for a month, and I canceled my trip, and I said, this is it. I have to do this. And so I did it. And what I did is I actually left Los Angeles. I rented a house. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you're doing it in your home, you want to make sure you set yourself up for success. Let your family know. He talked all about this. Let your family know. Let your team know. Let everybody know. I'm not going to be available for 30 days. And then it is, like you said, Casey, laser focus. I went to St. George, Utah, rented a house down the street from Dave MacArthur and Lenny Evans. And I rented a house, and what I did, the reason I think I actually made it, Casey, wasn't even so much that I sequestered myself. I told everybody that I was doing it. I went on Lenny's call and said, I'm doing this. I went on my call and said, I'm doing this. I went on other leaders' calls and said, I'm doing this. I posted it all over Facebook. I was so accountable, right? And I think that's a big reason why I did it.
Love it. Accountability. Tell the world, figure out how later. Yeah. We'll figure it out if you tell the world. Same thing, that why IsaBody Challenge. Why do we think people do well with that are putting it out there? People that are accountable and doing it with other people.
Yes.
so many takeaways, Rhonda. You are the queen of freedom and travel. And now, and doing that has allowed you now just even more ultimate freedom. I mean, think about, that sacrifice that you did for that short amount of time that then, catapulted you to where you are. But just, gosh, number 16 in the company, it's just amazing. Any before Joe comes on and dazzles us with some business training and some skill sets that you're referring to, what's a takeaway, or for somebody, or just a gold nugget, or if there's somebody, just anything on your heart that you want to share?
Absolutely. If there's anything that what I really believe in this business is to follow your inspiration the most. I believe if there's anything that I've spoken that touched you or made you feel excited or made you think, well, maybe, then follow that thread, because I really believe that is your higher self that is saying, go that direction, do that thing. And it's always just going to be the next thing. And so take one thing that you feel inspired and follow through on it. And my last piece of advice is, every single day, do something that scares the bejesus out of you, right? It scares you, that just takes you so far out of your comfort zone. And if you do that, you are guaranteed to grow. And again, as you grow, I promise you, your business is going to grow. It has to happen. It can't not happen. And so you can do that. You can create that by thinking, like, what's one thing I'm really afraid to do, and do it today, and get verbal about it. Communicate it with your team. Tell people what you're committed to doing. It really is powerful, Casey. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, we are definitely going to invite you back, and we appreciate it so much. So I love you to pieces. And that's the thing, the relationship in this business. I mean, just to have you as a friend and a mentor, it's just amazing to be able to look up to people like you and see how you did it and learn from you. And you're just always there. So I just love you, and we appreciate you. So thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you, Casey. I am so, so excited for you. Congratulations on your success. It's really amazing. You inspire me every day.
Having all these team members, right? Having such great team members. Thanks, girl. Thanks. All right, guys, that's definitely an inspirational piece for the call, no doubt. I know Rhonda's got a busy schedule right now, so she definitely jumped on, and I just follow her, you guys. Jump on. She does the Lenny Evans daily call at 11:30 a.m. She's always got just some massive stuff, and just what a story of persistence and just sticking in the game. I mean, 4 or 5 years to be at four or 5 cycles in 4 years, and then to be at number 16. So how awesome. So Joe, speaking of, somebody that is a master enroller is Joe and Shanna. And I know my ISOPulse is continuously going off from them. And, they've spoken on calls. A lot of you guys always want to see kind of what's their system. How do they do it? Joe was a chiropractor, not interested in Isagenix at all. Shanna definitely wasn't interested. Even when Joe was interested then in building the business, she wasn't, but the products is really, how they came on. And I mean, you guys are master connectors, master enrollers. You probably have gotten close to 20 and 30 days at times, I would imagine, if not. So share with us what's some awesome training and some skill set that we can put into some of that daily massive action that Rhonda was talking about.
Well, man, to follow Rhonda Collier, that's pretty big shoes to fill. But I mean, it humbles you to know that, somebody like her, I just want to bring it up that we all tend to compare. We're comparing all the time. And we see somebody like Rhonda and we go, I can never do that. Well, look what it took and look what the mindset was that she did. So, just I'm taking Casey's advice from last night and Rhonda's advice from today, and I'm putting it out there. This is happening this year. All right. So that's, by the way, I don't know if that was forwards or backwards, but 100K, it's done. It's done. Some of the things that we have done is a lot of reaching out and connecting and just getting into action, and we do the same thing that a lot of people do. We go back and forth and we kind of, try to figure out what our day is and what's going on. And, we've got life and we've got the 3 kids and I've got, basically it's a part-time practice now, but just trying to put all these pieces together and, looking at your cycles and wondering when it's going to happen and who's doing what and who's not doing what. We had a long talk with Casey last night and we realized we've got to look at what we are doing, not what's not happening. So what I want to do today, and I'm sure Shannon will jump in on some of these things because she's awesome at this. And like Casey said, she did not want to have anything to do with this business. And I was fine with that because she had homeschooling with the kids. She was doing her thing. It was keeping her very busy. She loved the products. I'm one of those people that if I set my mind to do something, I'm just going to do it. So I was okay with her not doing it. But then I realized, man, it's so much nicer to have your partner and your loved one and somebody that you're going through life with to really share this journey. And, we do things, by the way, we do things so differently. So we're building under one business center, but we build separately under that business center. We collaborate on things that we do, but if your spouse is looking to do this, or if you're doing this with your spouse, don't judge that you're doing it exactly the same, that you're, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the beauty of it, is you're building together. And so you're growing this thing, doing it in different ways. So do I have access to sharing the screen?
You should. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I want to do is, obviously what Rhonda talked about is one of the big things that we have, one of the skill sets. And by the way, this is a skill set. This is not something that, oh, there we go. Okay. This is not something that you just automatically know. And so that should be a relief for some people, because a lot of people come in and get very frustrated because they see people, they see their sponsor, they see other people in the company, they see people like Casey that are connecting, and people are just going, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds great. And they go, well, how come I can't do that? Well, guess what? They put in the time, they put in the effort to learn these things. And the good news is, Isagenix has so many tools. We've got Isagenix Business. Obviously, if you're part of Have It All or Fit and Free, you've got all of Casey's training that she has done, which is just awesome, and the work that she's put into that. So there's tools there, but something that I do is I'm one of those people that it doesn't always connect or resonate with me right away. I don't pick things up super fast. It takes me a little while, but I know I get it. So what I like to do is I like to find out from a lot of different people, and I look for experts in the industry. I don't stay within Isagenix just to get my information. She talked about Eric Worre, and I get tons of information from Eric Worre. I mean, his events, his coaching, his leadership is just out of this world. You talk about a master connector and what he does, that's what it is. So I pull from a lot of different places, and there's a lot and I'm going to bring up one at the end of this that'll help you out as well. But don't ever think that either your sponsor or, your upline or downline, sideline, whatever it is, don't just assume that, hey, what they're telling you is everything. What they're doing is working for them, but people pick up things from all over the place. Find what works for you. Okay. That's going to be a big key. But what we want to do is talk about connecting tonight. So I actually took this from Casey. This is part of one of her trainings, but it's so true. When you are setting up your day for connecting, for whether it's in person, on social media, whatever it is, look inside. Look at where your mindset is. Look at what you're thinking going into it. Is it, oh gosh, I have to reach out to people. This is terrible. Oh, I've got to share my story with people. If that's what's going on in your head, you realize there needs to be a shift. You need to have, and we heard this from Jordan. I'm going to go ahead and, he's obviously a master connector too, he and his wife, but he said it last week, it's setting your intention of what you're expecting. And, when he talks to somebody, his intention every single time is they're going to be part of my business. Whether it's a product user, a business user, whatever it is, they are going to be part of his business. So if your mindset is saying this is going to happen, and I'm sure Rhonda's does the same thing, and she said it herself. Does she sign up every single person every single time? Not at all, but I guarantee you her percentages have gone way up with her mindset training, everything that she's done to prepare her internally for how she sees things. So check on your thoughts and feelings and what you're doing going into it. Whatever you have to do, do a Tony Robbins, get into that mindset, set your state. do whatever you've got to do to be focused on that time, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever you're focusing on, get your state right. So going into that, how do we connect? So there's many different ways to connect. And I'm not here to tell you tonight that what I'm saying are the only ways, or I have it 100% figured out. This is how we do things. Okay. This is how Shannon and I do it. This is how a lot of people do it, with the invention of social media and just the prevalence of it globally. Man, our jobs are so much easier. But, if you're in person, make sure that when you're out and about with your family, even if you're not thinking about connecting with people, Shannon's really good about this. Even if you're not thinking about connecting with people, if your intention is not to go out and, sell Isagenix, which, by the way, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, I'm going to sign somebody up with Isagenix. It's, I want to make connections. I want people to join my franchise, as Casey says. This is a friend business. This is a connection business that we have. So always have something with you that speaks to what we do, or at least it can start a conversation, whether it's your shaker cup. For those of you that have Isagenix bags, if not, you can order all kinds of paraphernalia through the back office for tools. Have an e-shot, be taking an e-shot. And if somebody says, "Hey, what's that?" Tell them what it is. Oh, this is great. Brochures, magazines. Put your information in there. Stick a little sticker on there. Have your contact information. Shanna's got that. She puts that in her Isagenix book bag and carries that any events that she goes to with the kids, any whether they have gymnastics or tennis or something like that. She's always got something. So it's not that her goal is to say, "Hey, did you see my cup? You want to talk about Isagenix?" It's an organic thing. Okay. So that's what we want to do when we're out in person. But obviously we have social media, and I didn't list everything here. I'm not a part of everything, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, whatever it is, do what works for you. Obviously with Facebook and Instagram, those are some of the top two. And then LinkedIn is connecting with more business people. But what I would say is, there's more than a dozen social media tools out there. Find 2 or 3, start with one and get really good at that one. But, if you're going to branch out, I just started doing Instagram. I feel like I'm 90 years old trying to do this, but I'm making connections on there as well. And it's different and it's interesting, but I'm doing that. So I like that. I've got a big profile on LinkedIn, and I'm, high ranked on that. But Facebook is really the go-to. I really like that medium. I think we all do. I think everybody on here uses that. But what I want to do today is just talk about how we connect basically using social media. Okay. Let's see if I can change this over. Oh, there it is. So the main thing is you're always connecting. You always have to be connecting. ABC, and it's not about, you're not trying to close people. Don't think about that. Okay. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. People, they come into this business and they greatly overestimate what is going to happen. What if Rhonda had quit in year 3? I mean, seriously, guys. I mean, there's people on here that are, and we went through this, so I'm not judging anybody. We went through this where it was 0 cycles, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 0 cycles, 1 cycles, 2 cycles. And it's not that we were frustrated. We just didn't know what we didn't know. And so we hadn't committed to what we needed to do with the personal development and the events. I mean, it took us 1.5 years to even attend one event, because guess what? We didn't think we needed that. We don't need, sunshine and rainbows and everybody telling us how good this is and people cheering. Guess I just need to buckle down and reach out to people. Well, guess what? That's false. If you don't go to events, a real business is not going to happen. Okay. So if you're using social media, a couple things that I hear a lot are, "Oh, I don't know enough people in my town. Okay. So I can't really do this. I'm a hermit, whatever it is. I don't really have a lot of people in my town. I don't have many friends on Facebook." Guys, it's not an excuse. Okay. First of all, Facebook is 100% global. Isagenix is global. We are in, technically we're in 13 countries now, with the UK opening up in May, which is fantastic. So we are a global company. and you have the ability to connect globally every single day. And I will tell you, if your Facebook friend list is less than 1,000 and you decide that you want to keep it there and you're wondering why people aren't reaching out to you and you're afraid to reach out to people, it's going to be a tough go. Because first of all, there's an algorithm on Facebook. And I don't know if you've ever heard that term before. There's an algorithm. They set this up so that you're not bombarded and the systems aren't bombarded with all 100% of the people that you connect with on a day-to-day basis. Only about 5 to a high end of 7% of the people in your network, in your Facebook friend list, ever see your post, okay? That's not really high numbers. Now, there's ways to increase that, and that's what we're going to talk about today, but you can see that you have the ability with Facebook to go up to 5,000 connections, and that's why Instagram comes into play also, is you have the ability to go unlimited. I mean, unlimited connections, and it's a different interaction on there, but it's you can really skyrocket on there, but you can communicate with people as well. So what I want you to do is set your intention to connect every single day. And another excuse we hear is, well, I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. Well, that's perfect, because the busier people are, honestly, the people that come in the busiest and set an intention to build an Isagenix business do the best, because guess what? They know the time they have to work with on a daily basis. So they set that time, they set that intention. They say, I've got 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the beginning of the day. I've got 20 minutes in the middle of the day. I've got 20 minutes at the end of the day. They know what their time is, and they know they have to maximize that time. And then they start to spread things out. They start to realize, well, there's things I can cut out that I don't really need. Did I really need to watch Oprah today? Or I don't even know if she's still on, but I need to really need to watch, a soap opera, or, another Survivor. Did I need to watch that, or could I use that hour to spend on doing something like that? So there's really no excuses. Now that's not a judgment, guys. However you spend your time is how you spend your time. Just don't make excuses about where your time went and that you don't have time. We all have 24 hours in the day. I want to go back to this. So I say set a goal for connecting with 10 to 20 or more people every single day. Okay. So I'm going to come off of this real quick. Stop that share. Okay. Oh yeah. Good. LinkedIn is also unlimited. So that's awesome. What I want to do is I want to kind of show you just real simple how I build my friend list. And by the way, when we moved to the Bluffton area, we moved from upstate of South Carolina down to the Bluffton area. I was one of those people that when I had my business up in the upstate, I hadn't started really building Isagenix. I was just dabbling in it. I was definitely an amateur with it. I only connect with people on Facebook that I communicated with on a daily basis, people that came into my chiropractic office. I got rid of everybody else because I said, that's just noise. I don't need to see that. And I had about 250 friends on Facebook when I moved down to Hilton Head. And that was in towards the end of 2014. Well, now you can see here, 3,812 friends on Facebook. Okay. That's not meant to impress you at all. It just shows you that I'm constantly building my friend list, because I realize that different people are seeing different things, and people are going to come and go, and people are going to probably mute me out and stop following me, but they'll still be my friends. So I always have to find new people. So this is the simple way that I do it. I don't wait for people to come to me. So you see this button up here, your friend request. I've already accepted all the friend requests today. But what I do is I go down here and I see all, and I open this up. This shows you a whole list of people that you can connect with on a daily basis that makes it very easy. Now, I personally have some criteria that I use when I'm connecting with people on here. You don't have to connect with everybody, nor do I recommend you just go through and connect with anybody and everybody on this list. So one of my first rules is they got to have a picture. So see this guy right here? I don't know what that's all about. I don't care. He's not going in there. My next criteria is I want somebody that looks like they're enjoying life. I want their picture. I don't want it to be confusing. So if you're on here and you're trying to build a business, please change your profile picture to your face. Okay, not your dog, not your cat, not your friend's baby or your baby, or the 10 people that you went to an event with somewhere. That can be in your banner, but make your picture a somewhat professional picture. Doesn't mean you have to go out and pay a professional to do it, but have somebody take your picture a few times and find one that you like and put that as your profile picture and keep that as your profile picture. People need to associate your brand, which we're not going to go into today. That'll be another training, but they need to associate your brand with your face. They don't need to try to guess who the face is. So like this Brooke Savage, get rid of that. But let me tell you what I do look for. I look for the face, but then I also look for mutual friends. Okay, I'm not going to find out which mutual friends it is, but I'm looking for somebody that has at least 5 mutual friends, and not for any hard and fast reason. My reason is if somebody has mutual friends, at least 5, then it's not going to feel weird to them that I'm trying to connect with them. They can easily come back, and people do this. They come back, especially with us guys. People get, you ladies get tons of creeper messages, and I feel sorry for you because that's ridiculous. But I know that people judge me on that same standard, so I try to keep it as uncreepy as possible. But I know people, they're still wondering, so I'll get people to say, why did you friend request me? I say, oh, well, I just noticed that we had a few mutual friends, and then I might go to their page and find something that's interesting about them. Like Courtney, obviously she's a chiropractor, so that's an easy thing. She had 30 mutual friends, so why not friend request her? Jeff, riding on a horse. Sarah Stevens, Army National Guard, only 3 mutual friends. Now, if you want to connect with people that only have 3 mutual friends, by all means, go ahead and do it. I'm not saying that you can't do it. It just makes it easier when you start conversations, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But, I'm looking for different type of people. So let's say, let's find a good one here. Joy. Joy is a CEO at Finding Joy. Well, that sounds like something that might be right up our alley. I think she's with Isagenix because she's friends with Adam Packard Isagenix. So actually, I'm not going to friend request her because I don't need any more Isagenix people connecting with, because I'm building a business that way. They can follow me. But like Stephanie, she looks like she's into fitness. Armstrong, she's got 15 mutual friends. I'm going to add her. All right. Now you can take a little bit more time. Some people do. They go to people's pages and they find out some information about them. I will do that when they respond back. So that's what I want to go into next. So when somebody accepts my friend request, I don't necessarily do it right that second, but maybe at the end of the week, I am going to private message all those new connections. Okay. I'm going to send them a message, and I'll actually show you what I do here. If you've never done this, there's an easy way to find all your connections. Okay, so go to your homepage, go to your friends, and you'll see right here, recently added. Click on that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Paige a private message. And I'm showing you exactly what I do. Hi, Paige. And by the way, we have a stuck key on here, so it makes it hard. Thanks for connecting on here. I have met, there's one. I have met it's that M key, some great people this way, and look forward to connecting with you. Now, the next sentence is something that I feel comfortable with, and I highly recommend that you get comfortable with it as well, because this is what we do. So the next thing I do is, if I don't see something very specific, she's a business owner at PR Training Systems. I don't know what that is. That doesn't say chiropractor. It doesn't say lawyer. It doesn't say something very, very specific. So you can go on here and comment. Hey, I noticed on your page, like Casey talks about animals, and I noticed on your page that you had some animals, and I love animals, blah, blah, all those types of things. I don't necessarily do that, and so that I'm not telling you not to do it. If you want to take the time to do that, that's absolutely fine, or look at what their information is. So the next sentence for me, what do you do? Well, that's why we're here, right? We're connecting with people. So I send them something about what do you do. Now, I don't tell them what I do right off the bat. I don't sit there and say, hey, I mean, you all have gotten these messages. I don't say, Hey, thanks for connecting with me. I'm part of a nutrition company. Would you like to take a look at my information? Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing ever that I see people do. Um, so I genuinely connect with them. Okay, they can look on my page and probably deduce that I'm part of a business, which is absolutely fine. But usually they're going to come back in and say something along the lines of, well, this is what I do. What about you? Now, this is key. You have to have a good answer for this. All right. And don't beat around the bush. Don't lie about it. I don't say that I'm with Isagenix unless they really get into it and start asking me, tell me the company. Fine, it's Isagenix. Have you ever heard of us? But what I come back with when they say, what do you do? I say, well, I am a chiropractor. However, I'm transitioning out of that because of our growing home internet business. I leave it at that, but then I come right back to them with a question because I don't want them to think that it's about me. So whatever they came back with, I will say, so how long have you been doing X? I'm getting into a conversation. So it's not about me because they haven't asked, well, can I ask more information? I'm going to tell you right now, if you tell somebody that you are part of a growing home internet business, you're going to pique their interest and they're going to say, well, what is that? All right. So if they do, I'll tell them, well, I'm part of a nutrition company. We help people with more energy, weight loss, performance, healthy aging, and we help people become financially free. Then I'm going to come back and ask them another question, kind of like, hey, listen, it's not about me. I don't really care about that. Let me ask you another question. And so I'm going to show you how to do that tonight, but that's what I do, and I'm asking questions. So you always want to end your conversation with somebody with a question, all right? So at least you're giving them a chance to come back to you. Will they all the time? Of course not. But if you just end the thing with, hey, I'm a chiropractor, I have a home-based business, crickets. You didn't leave them with anywhere to go with that. And most people aren't used to communicating with strangers on the internet. They're very skeptical, okay? So you have to ask them, find out about them, all right? So something else that we do every day is we send private birthday messages. You can look on somebody's page and you can see, hey, happy birthday, and you see 100 people will say, hey, happy birthday to you. Well, that just gets lost in the mix. So one way you could do it is you send them a private birthday message, which basically just, for me, if you're going to write it, it says, hey, Kathy, I just wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. I hope it's your best year yet. And guess what? Here's a question. Have anything fun planned for the day? I got that from Shanna. She throws that in there. So you're giving them an opportunity to come back with an answer to something that you can continue with, okay? Something that somebody else has good success with is they send a short video. And I think what you can do, 15, 20-second short video to somebody's private message. You send a live feed of yourself saying, happy birthday. I hope it's your best year yet. What have you got going on? They're going to really, it's going to pique their interest when you send a video to them. I don't really do that, but that's my hang up, okay? Don't let that be your hang up. And by the way, I still have a lot of hang ups. So this is all a growing process. And so just so you know that we go through this stuff too. We've been doing this for 3 years. So another thing you do is you want to comment on people's posts genuinely, all right? And what I mean by that is don't just comment on something that wouldn't normally pique your interest, okay? If somebody posts a picture of, somebody going lion hunting in Africa, that's not really something that interests me. So I'm not going to get into that conversation. I'm going to go into something that interests me, like nutrition or fitness or just the way that spirituality, as far as how the body is connected with the universe and things like that. If I see somebody writing something like that, I'm going to come on their page and say something about it, not about Isagenix. You never do that. Don't go on somebody else's page and do that. That's ridiculous. And so only do that when you see a need. I'm very proactive when it comes to connecting and reaching out to people. And what I mean by that is, Casey, and we all get caught up in this. Casey mentioned that you can get lost in Facebook just scrolling through, and you can go an hour, 2 hours and go, oh my God, I didn't do anything. I just scrolled through Facebook. I've gotten pretty good at going through Facebook and scrolling pretty fast and being able to see, all right, there's something I want to comment on because I want to build that algorithm so that more and more people start to see my news feed and I start to see their news feed. That's the way you start building up. That 7% goes higher when that happens, when you're interacting with people on a daily basis. If you have people that you want to connect with, if you want people to see what you're doing on your page, but for some reason they never see your stuff, go find them and send them a private message. Hey, it's been a while since I talked to you. How have you been? Just by doing that, they're going to show up in your newsfeed and you're going to show up in there. So it's little tricks like that. All right. So the goal is when you're doing this, obviously you want to be honest about what you do. We don't get into it. Well, first of all, this doesn't happen. It really is about your intention. A lot of people are afraid to start talking about what they do because they don't think they're the expert. So if you're cycling, 1 to 5 times a week, a lot of people don't feel like they are worthy to bring up a business opportunity because guess what? They haven't made it yet. It's not fair for them to bring up a business opportunity because they haven't made it yet. Well, that's not the point, okay? You're not lying to somebody and saying you're $1 million earner. What you're saying is we have an opportunity, and we know people in this group that are successful, okay? So we know it's possible. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't worry about that, if you're not worried about somebody asking, well, what do you make? If you have the posture that says, listen, I help people build successful businesses through myself and my team, people aren't going to ask you what you make. They're going to assume that you're doing very well, and that's okay for them to assume that. You don't have to lie about it. Just be honest about what you do. Be very authentic about everything that you do. The post that you do on Facebook, make sure it's authentic to you. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to create every single post, and we'll get into that with branding. It just simply means that if it doesn't resonate with you, don't copy somebody else's post and put it on your page. By the way, never share somebody's post. Always copy it and make it unique and authentic to you, but just make sure it resonates with you. Compliment people. Go on their page, find 5 people a day and compliment them on something about what they're doing. And you want to create curiosity. We don't put, when you're starting out and you haven't hit the big numbers, don't put Isagenix on your page. Don't be that person. Your brand, and like I said, we're not talking about this today, but your brand is not Isagenix. Your brand is you and what you stand for. Okay, so do more of that. And so we'll get into that with the branding training. And be solution oriented. Offer people solutions. So what are the things that people are looking for? It's the solutions that we have: energy, performance, weight loss, healthy aging, and financial freedom, wealth creation. Those are the things we offer. So bring in posts that talk about that. Find posts that talk about how people may be struggling in life. That, the big thing for me is only 5% of people in the U.S. can retire at the 65 age. Hey, look, she came back and said something. So only 5% of the people come back, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't be focusing on that. 5% of the people can retire without financial assistance. That's pretty scary, okay? And those are the people that worked very hard for 40 years doing the things that we thought you're supposed to be doing, and only 5% can retire without financial assistance. Well, what are people doing nowadays? They don't even have a full-time job. They have multiple jobs that they're jumping around to. People can't afford to do vacations. They can't afford to go out and do the things and spend time with their family and do the things they want to do. We offer solutions to that. So find those opportunities and connect with those people. Build a relationship with those people. Don't try necessarily to put your spin on things right off the bat. Build a connection with people, because people, it says on here, be vulnerable. That's for you about your post and what you're going through in a day-to-day life. But people are vulnerable on Facebook and they don't want to be taken advantage of. So, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing it the wrong way. So do it the right way. Take it slow. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. So strive for progress, not perfection. We're always moving forward. For those of you that are on this training, obviously you're in it to learn. And so that's what we want. That's what we want to do. Do not verbal vomit on people. It's not about you. It's about them. So you can give your 30-second story and help them out if it comes to that. All right. This is typically not the time to do that in your feed, but all right. So there's different types of connecting. There's passive and there's active connecting. Most people that I'm finding are doing very passive connecting, which means that they're trying to get their Facebook to do the work for them. They're disconnected. They're not confident in actually communicating with somebody. So one of the hardest things that we have is getting people to post on Facebook using the 10-4-1 method, which we'll get into at a later time. But doing those consistent messages so people know who you are is hard enough for a lot of people. So they're expecting, well, hey, I did 5 posts today. Why aren't people just knocking down my door and asking me, hey, what are you doing? I'd like to buy, the biggest pack you got. It's not about that. Social media is passive connecting. It is very passive. So you're just putting it out there. You're putting your brand out there. You're letting people start to get into your life and understand what you do. The things that are active are things like private messaging people, getting on phone calls, setting up that phone call, setting up the 3-way call with your mentor or somebody on your team, belly-to-belly conversations at the bank, at wherever you go. It's about setting up those conversations. That is active. So you want to increase, if you want to increase that algorithm visibility on Facebook, at least, you want to be doing those messages. You want to be doing the comments. You want to get into what people are doing. So be very proactive and seek out opportunities. I have signed up so many people on our team simply by seeing their page, seeing their pain and hurt. This does not mean I take advantage of people. I'm an opportunist. So I see what's going on people's pages and I connect. So there's people that are having struggles with energy. They're really getting, towards the middle of the day, they're just ready to pass out. They can't take on the day. They're just worn out. So, I may send them a message. I'll send them a private message. I'm not going to get caught up in their comments. I may send something, hey man, I'm sorry to hear that, on their comments, but I'm going to send them a private message and say, hey, if I haven't connected with them, by the way, I would say something like, hey, Sherry, I noticed on your page that you were talking about energy. I noticed that we haven't connected yet. I've really met some great people on here, and I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. But if you're serious about wanting to boost your energy, this is what I do. So I'd love to get you some more information. Are you open to that? That's a question. So I left it at the question. I do that, and people come back, and we have a couple of interactions. I say, hey, listen, I talk a lot better than I type. So would you be open to setting up a time for us to chat for a few minutes on the phone so I can find out what you're looking for and see if there's something I can do to help you out? That's what I do, okay? I'm not waiting for people to come to me. I'm not upset when I have been doing this for 3 years and I post 5 times a day on my page and I might get 1 to 2 likes or no comments on my post. I don't care. People are seeing it, and I know that I've boosted that algorithm for people to see it, but I'm going to be proactive. I'm seeking out opportunities, and I'm seeking out people because I know my belief is such, and if you haven't gotten this place yet, this is where the personal development comes in and Eric Worre's Go Pro book comes in as far as your beliefs and the different levels of beliefs you have. I know that all of our solutions will help somebody. I know that everybody can use what we have. I believe that. And so I know that what we have can help. So why wouldn't I reach out and offer something that I know would help? So that's what we do. All right. So the power of questions. All right. So you want to listen more and talk less. It's not about what you know. It's about what's going on with them. So it allows you to hear what they're looking for, not about what we want. Okay. We're not talking about those things. It's not about you. So you want to strive to be interested. I'm not doing that, by the way. You want to strive to be interested versus interesting. Okay. It's not about you. So use form. And you may have heard this before, but form, what that means, it's a way for you to communicate with people, but it's talking about their family, talking about their kids and what's going on and, what they do as a family, what their occupation is. Like I said, what do you do? I want to find out about that. I'm interested in you and what's going on. What do they do for recreation? You may ask, hey, summer's coming up. Do you have any vacations coming up? What's the last, what are you doing exciting this summer? Guess what? If somebody says, Oh, yeah, well, we haven't taken a vacation in 3 or 4 years. We're not able to do that. Guess what? Opportunity. Okay. So I'm going to keep listening and I'm going to keep finding out what's going on with them and then find out what their motivation is, because their motivation is not your motivation. Okay. So we want to find out what motivates them and help them identify that and help them move forward with that. So once that goal is identified, we can know our direction and where they want to go. So that's what it's about them. And always end every contact with a question. So this is something I'm getting ready to show you guys, something that I use on a daily basis. It works like a charm because a lot of people have a tough time keeping conversations going. Okay. So if you have a tough time keeping conversations going on Facebook, drop a 1 in the comments over there. But I'm going to show you how to keep those conversations going and how to move them in the direction that you want to go. And this is another person that I've sought out. We're a lot with Isagenix people. Rhonda has been coached by him directly. This is Max Steingart. Okay, so this is a script, and don't be afraid of the word script. Okay, scripting just helps you get where you need to be. So what I do is I use this, and it's a PDF file. And so if somebody comes back to me and says, when I say, what do you do? Oh, well, let's find one on here. I'm a college student. Oh, okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on college student here, and it goes right to that page. What are you studying? All right, they're going to come back and tell me what they're studying. Well, are you a full-time or a part-time student? And if they tell me if they're part-time, what kind of work do you do? It lets me keep going in the direction that I want to move them in. And so guess what? Look at number 7. If it gets there naturally and you feel comfortable with it, this is what we do, guys. So eventually you got to get comfortable with it, but in your own time. And so I say a lot of students have turned to the internet to make extra or even full-time income. Have you ever considered doing anything like that? That's an easy question to ask. Okay, so this is something that I can share in the group. I know when you see on here, it says you're not supposed to share, but I feel like you guys deserve to have it. It's a training that I paid for, so I feel like you guys deserve to have that. It really does help, and it keeps moving things in the right direction. Okay, so I can drop that in the training in the opportunity section and help you guys out there. So, and by the way, I can't see the questions. So if there are questions that need to be answered, if somebody could tell me, I'd appreciate that.
Small chat. I'm watching the chat, so we're good.
Okay, cool.
Basically just
awesome. So your goal is to get people to ultimately your goal is, we want to talk about the team page just a little bit. This is the last page here. It's to get people to your team page, product page, organically. Okay? Don't just go through your friend list or somebody that you just became friends with, and because you don't want to have a conversation with them or because it might be weird, you just drop them into the page. That's the wrong thing to do. Okay? You need to have a conversation with them, and if it gets to it, ask their permission based on their goals. Hey, one of the things we talked about was you're looking to increase your performance and lean muscle mass in the gym. Well, I'm part of a group that's what we help people with, and we have a private support page on Facebook that you can learn a lot of great information. Would you be okay if I added you to that page to take a look around? You're asking permission. If they say no thanks, not a lot of people do, but if they say no thanks, say, hey, no problem at all. Do not add them to the page. All right, it's disrespectful. So the next thing you want to do is you want to be their tour guide on their adventure on your page. Do not expect the team members on your page, the ones that are posting 5 times a day, the ones that are very active in the group, do not expect them to do your work for your people. Now, that doesn't mean that their post can't help your person, but you are the tour guide moving people in the direction that you want to move them in. So you want to be adding value to that. So I'm not going to talk about how to add people to the page. That's for you and your sponsor, because I know that Have It All and Fit and Free do it a little bit differently. But basically what you want to do is when you add somebody to the group, you want to immediately turn around, and whether it's on a pinned post at the top, something that you like, hey, Sheila, here's the page I was talking about. Take a look around. It's a lot of great information, a lot of great people in here that can answer your questions. And I look forward to connecting with you a little bit more. Leave it at that. They got a flag. So that's a big thing. They need to see your flags come up. They're not going to get flags on their page from people that they're not connected with on that page. So if you're not sending them there daily, what's going to happen? They're going to forget about Have It All or Fit and Free. They're going to go, what was that page again? Oh, never mind. I don't really get anything from that. So they're never going to get directed to go to the page unless they get a flag. So you need to be in there every day, once or twice a day, adding a value post, stealing a value post. It doesn't matter if there's multiple posts of the same post, and you see that all the time. The reason being is your people aren't seeing somebody else's post. So you need to be adding value post in there or tagging somebody in a value post that you think would pertain to them. That's going to help move them in the direction. And then however long that you and your sponsor have talked about, or how you do it on your team, you're going to reach back out to that person. It's the follow-up. What did Rhonda say? Getting good at follow-up is the key to business. If we don't follow up with people, they just fall off. Obviously the number one thing we want to do is create a list, but following up with the people on that list is key. People that you've added to the group, write it down. You need to have that list and follow up with them. So don't just drop them in and leave them there with no direction. All right. So that's all I have for today. I know that's a lot to go for just connecting, but that is a key part of our business. Are there any questions that I missed, or anybody want to ask any questions?
It's not just a key part of this business. I mean, it is this business, it is. I mean, people are this business. And I think that, connecting, it's just so fun. You can be a professional friend maker, you guys, and offer solutions. So many different ways to connect. And I loved what you were talking about, Joe, just with just keeping it, for everybody does it different, so what is it that works for you? And then the question mark too, I think that's super, super key. But yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything they want to put in the group? That was awesome info, Joe. I know Rhonda, it was awesome from just a jam-packed call tonight, guys. It was good info. Stacy asked a question above. Hold on. How often do you follow up so it's not too much? What do you do, Joe? Shannon?
It's different as you move along, and it's different depending on whether it's a warm market or a cold market, whatever that is. But it depends on the conversation. So I kind of make it a game. Okay, so you don't get upset about it. I make it a game when it comes to this, because there's going to be people that just drive you absolutely insane. They'll come and ask you a question, you give them an answer, and then it's crickets. They don't ever respond back. So you go, what in the heck? You just don't do it. Okay. One thing that we learned, and I'm not real good at this, but one of the best things you can do, first of all, you have to have your to-do list. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I wanted to show you guys this real quick, because this is something that keeps us accountable every single day. So we have a daily duties list. Now, this is specific to us. This wasn't something from Isagenix. This isn't a hard and fast what it is. But like this one right here is Healthy Kids, Healthy Moms. So that's, if you see those letters, this keeps us in line with what we need to do on a daily basis, and we can check it off. So your morning visualization, 10 pages of personal development. The Survey Monkey is something Shanna's doing with her Healthy Kids, Healthy Moms. Add 10 friends, conversations. You can check those things off. These are the kind of things that keep you focused in whatever time that you have to do the things that you need to do in a day, no matter how long it is. You know that your day is not done until you got done with this list and you checked off everything on that list. Okay. So as far as follow-up goes, have your list. You have to have things written down. You have to have organization. You have to know who you've talked to, because they get lost in the mix. So depending on where somebody is, I mean, if we're going back and forth and trying to figure out when, if they're interested in what we're doing now, I'm going to touch base with them every couple of days until they get on the call with me. That's my goal, is to always be getting on the next call with them, or getting on a 3-way call with them until it closes down. Now, once I've done that, and let's say they don't decide to start up right away, then I'm going to keep in touch with them. Maybe depending on what they say, it might be 3 days, because they told me, well, when would you like me to follow up with you? I'm going to ask them, when would you like me to follow up with you, so you can take a look at the information that we're going to send you, or you have. What works best for you? I have Tuesday and Thursday available at 5. Which day works best for you? Always set that next appointment with them. Now, after that, I think what Stacy was getting at is, so Stacy asked a question. I think what she's getting at is, when do you let people go? When do you just drop it and say, let's let them go? Yeah, she's shaking her head. You don't ever let somebody go unless they have told you, get the hell out of my life. They are going to block you. They will, if they really don't want anything to do, if you're doing it right, you don't ever have to let them go, because situations change. Okay, David, if you haven't had a chance to go to University in Action, this is what he teaches you at University in Action. David T.S. Wood says, ask them, say, hey, listen, would you, if it's gotten to this point, hey, would you mind if in 6 weeks, I reach back out to you, I connect with you, because I know situations change and different things happen in people's lives. Would it be okay if I followed up with you then just to see how things are going? If you've done it right, they're going to say, sure, go ahead and reach out to me. It's absolutely okay, because you haven't stepped over that weird boundary. You haven't done anything wrong.
I'd like to say something too on, like, when to let go, or when to, like, how often to follow up. I probably agitate people often with all the promotions and everything that is coming up, but I don't care, because I've learned real fast in this business not to take anything personally. So I'm going to put it out there. If they're annoyed or bothered by it, then so what? I don't really care. I'm getting them the information that they asked me for a long time ago, because they did ask, they did open that door. And until they tell me I'm not interested at all, ever, please don't contact me again, which I did have somebody do once, I continue to send them things about promotions. I send them articles from Isagenix Health that I think pertain to them. I tag them in things on the Fit and Free. But I do have people on my prospect list that have been there for 2 years. And so maybe I don't do it quite as often. I mean, with the amount of promotions that we've been having lately, like I don't do every single one, but I do come back around to those people and continuously check in with them.
That's the game I'm talking about. That's the game.
Yeah.
Is who cares? I mean, if they're part of your list, hey, we got a promotion going on. Until you cut me off, I'm going to keep letting you know about that promotion. So that's, gosh, I had something I wanted to.
Susan Sly was followed up with 21 times before she joined Isagenix. And when you think about, like, Susan Sly, if you guys don't know her, I mean, she's, top income earner, just massive organization. Her organizations go deep and strong, but 21 times. So, and I always like to invite myself to follow up by stating that I'm going to. And so then I'm just somebody who's doing what she said she was going to do. Great. They're really busy, got things going on. I'll reach back out to you in, 2 weeks, and then just go flip your calendar and write their name down 2 weeks later, so even if it's not just, and then who you're going to follow up with. So I just tell people that I'm going to do it. And then it's like, oh, she's just doing what she said she was going to do. I always invite myself to follow up.
Here's a key with people, because I know that we get offended. I know that we don't want to bother somebody. But my philosophy is this. I feel like everybody during some point in their life is going to do one of these systems, or they're going to use a nutritional product from somebody at some point. Why not you? Okay. But if you are not the person that's on their mind when they finally decide to do it, they're going to go with somebody from Beachbody or It Works. It doesn't matter what you think of those products. Somebody else was following up with them and letting them know. I mean, it took me 2.5 years after somebody introduced it to me to decide to use it. And guess what? They weren't the ones they didn't follow up with me. So I didn't remember them when a new person came along and said, hey, you want to try this? All right, I'm ready to try it now. But guess what? That person that talked to me the first time, she reminded me that she was the one that came to me, and I said, well, I didn't remember, so you're bad.
But what a devastation that she didn't follow up and she didn't have Joe and Shanna in her organization. That's a bad day. So follow up, you guys. Portia is in the follow up. All right. Well, I know we will be back with is next Sunday Mother's Day? Or not Mother's, Easter.
Easter. Yeah,
Easter. Okay, I'm getting April and May. I'm getting my days confused. They always say strive to live a life where you don't know what day it is, right? We all except Monday payday. That's always exciting. Get a reminder that's the only way I know it's Monday is when my pay thing goes off. So, all right, Mr. Colt says, thank you all for joining us. It was a great, great meeting. Joe, Shanna, awesome. Rhonda, I don't know if you're still on here. If you are, we love you and we appreciate you, and we're going to have you back too. And I will get this recording in the group. And just thank you so much, Joe, for all that info, and for you guys who showed up for yourselves and keep showing up. That's what it is, keeping plugged in. So let's all see each other at an event soon. And we'll be back on Sunday, and we'll get this info going. So thank you, guys. Say bye. I always try to unmute. Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks
bye.
for seeing you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Joe, that was awesome.
Bye.
Awesome info.
Bye.
Awesome, guys.
Bye.